I hope genuinely that you find moments in your games that give you the chills, that make you shake because you're so nervous about what's about to happen. Am I going to get eaten by this dragon or what? Those are the things, to me, that make D&D such an amazing game to share with your friends. Yes, I'm still talking about the game from Wednesday, and that is only because there was so much that I learned from that game. There was so much that I got out of it just because it was tons of fun, but in the fact of like reflecting on the game and the fun stuff that happened in that session, I realized that there's something really important that I didn't even get a chance to really address yesterday. So today, I want to talk about the importance of knowing your character when you're playing D&D. And by knowing your character, I don't mean knowing your personality. That stuff comes through role-playing. That comes out organically as you kind of learn who this person is through playing the game and through engaging with the other people at the table. What I'm talking about is understanding the mechanics of your character to a certain degree. And here's why. Yes, that game was so intense. I was literally, so there was a moment when my character Illum sort of had this moment, this like RP moment, we're facing down the dragon, and I had her sort of like reveal who she is and try to intimidate this you know, terrifying white dragon and all that. Gregory, was literally shaking. I was so like amped by the moment. It was that's how intense the game was. That's how in the moment I was. And what's really important about that is, as much as that moment was intense for me, I think there's something even more important that happened in the same part of the session. And here's what I want to talk about. I think one of the most clutch things that happened in the game, I said it yesterday, I pretty much said Zook and Jamriel saved Illum. Without question, she would be dead if it wasn't for those two characters. And not only that, it was the plays that they made. So I want to focus in on that a tiny bit, because I think this tends to get glossed over sometimes and maybe overlooked. One of the things that I really admire and I try to do myself is I like the utility that all of the classes have. There are moments when your character is going to have a skill, an ability, or a spell that it's specifically designed for that. Now, on one level, spells are a little bit more generic because you have choices and they're more multi-situational. Here's the thing, the two clutch moves. Jamriel the Bard, of course I mentioned his cutting words. That's not even what I'm talking about. That saved Illum. But what I want to talk about is what benefited the whole party. And of course, this was like a trial run. We learned from this encounter with the dragon where both Illum and Longtooth were killed. I mean, we were knocked unconscious, right? This is what we learned. Jamriel, which is to say Ben, had Jamriel cast Fairy Fire. Now, against the dragon, you might think, wait a minute, dude, are you kidding me? There's no way a dragon's not gonna resist that or not gonna save against that. Now, if this was an ancient dragon or an adult dragon, that very well may be true. But number one, we don't know that, so as far as role-playing, it was a perfect choice. And number two, this was a young enough dragon that there was still a chance. There's no legendary resistances here, I think. And I don't know for sure because I'm not behind the screen, but I think there's no legendary resistances for this dragon yet. And if there was, regardless, for the story, it made more sense that it happened the way it did, and the dragon just strafed us with its ice breath and then flew off because it didn't have the time to mess with us. But yet and still, Jamriel decided to use Fairy Fire. Fairy Fire is one of the best spells in Dungeons & Dragons if it works. If it doesn't work, it's kind of like, ah. But when it works, it gives everybody advantage on their attacks. That's amazing. That's super huge. Now, that combined with, again, this one was more clutch for saving the day as far as like keeping a Loom and possibly Longtooth as well from dying. I think Longtooth has a lot more hit points, so he was probably going to be okay. But for sure, Zook sending out his ant to use that as the shield generator was perfect. Here's what I mean. Okay, even if Jamril uses the Fairy Fire, and even if we know that we're going to get advantage on our attacks, Aviad could have had Zook use his Scorpion, which is an attack, totem, or mech, or whatever we want to call it, right? One of his little creatures. He could have set something out to attack, to give us, to boost our damage. And in a small way, the Artificer, that's what they're all about. They are all about massive damage. Zook himself does huge damage when he hits with his modified, spectacular crossbow, right? What's it called? The Prismo Zapper 1000. When he uses the Prismo Zapper 1000, he does massive amounts of damage with a hit. But Aviad made the brilliant play of not going for big damage right out of the gate, rather playing it slightly defensively and putting out this ant that would give us all some temporary hit points. I just love that kind of gameplay. In my world, in the games I play, when other players think creatively and think, strategically, like, that's the juice for me. That's the good stuff for me. And it's not just Aviad, and it's not just Ben. Everyone in this group is doing this, so I'm absolutely thrilled with how everyone is playing their characters and figuring out their characters through the role play. It's so delicious, this game. And that's what ultimately what it's all about. So I hope genuinely that you find moments in your games that give you the chills, that make you shake because you're so nervous about what's about to happen. Am I gonna get eaten by this dragon or what? Those are the things, to me, that make D&D such an amazing game to share with your friends. And hopefully, even if it's the first time you've sat down with the people at the table, hopefully they become your friends because of these shared moments of, triumph and despair and joy and terror and all of the goodness of a good game. So wow, that's where it's at. And I just want to say how powerful it is when I play my character in such a way that I'm not just thinking about me being the star. When we play our characters and use our abilities and use those abilities for the benefit of the party, whoa, that's good D&D, in my opinion. I think there's room for the selfish a-hole in a game, for certain. There are places where that is going to be an interesting character choice and might make for interesting, for certain, there'll be tension, for certain. However, in my experience, when everyone at the table has the most fun, in my experience, it's when people make choices that are in everyone's best interest. Unless they're having fun and it's not a life-threatening moment. When Cazador sneaks off and does something goofy to, stretch her legs and enjoy role-playing the character, that is awesome and that is fun. But when it comes down to the heat of the moment, when everybody's on their game and uses their stuff, whoo! That's where it's at. That's when the ones are as good as the 20s. So keep rolling keep rolling 20s. Sorry, keep rolling 20s. Enjoy the ones, but keep rolling 20s. I'll see you at the table someday. And remember, it's your game. Play your way. I hope genuinely that you find moments in your games that give you the chills, that make you shake because you're so nervous about what's about to happen. Am I gonna get eaten by this dragon or what? Those are the things, to me, that make D&D such an amazing game to share with your friends.